Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's album review, where we're going to be reviewing Western Stars by Bruce Springsteen. If I could just make a quick correction, I think I did say in the last video when we were doing the album choice, I think I did say that it's not his latest album. He has got an album released since then, but that album hasn't been released yet. It's an upcoming album. So this is actually his latest album still at the moment. We're going to go over to Brett, as it was his choice, and get his thoughts on the album. So, Brett, without any further ado, what did you think?
Okay. Before I say anything, though, we should point out, and this means no disrespect to our previous artists and albums that we've done, but it's probably fair to say Bruce Springsteen is probably the biggest artist we've done so far. Something that we both were familiar with his work. You probably more so, so well known. So a lot of pressure does come with that, I think. Like I said, the stuff that I did know of his, I did really like. And he's obviously been around for a very long time. And it's always hard when you think there's a new album that's come out. Is this going to be as good as his normal stuff? This is also, if people didn't know, I don't remember how much we talked about in the last video, obviously linked with a movie. So there's a movie called Western Stars, which he's part of it. So was this just an album just to try and help with the movie? So whilst listening to it, I have to say there wasn't one song on there that I didn't like. I liked them all. I thought it was a great album. Simple as that, really. Yeah. For me, there were a couple of standout songs. I did actually listen to this album on 3 occasions. So I managed to go through it 3 times. And so for the songs I wasn't too sure about, they seem to grow on me a little bit more. So I do have 2 sort of particular favourites from the album, but really, there wasn't a song that I didn't like. There's ones which weren't as good as some of the songs on the album, but overall, there wasn't a song I didn't like on there.
Okay, well, there you go. So welcome to the Bruce Springsteen fan club, Jeff, Mr. Director. Yeah, so nice to have you along. As you said, you'd obviously heard of Bruce Springsteen. Everyone has, but you weren't too familiar with
that's the thing,
with his stuff, apart from some of his big hits.
So I knew a lot of his stuff, but the thing is, he's obviously been around for such a long time. He's had so many albums, so probably in the grand scheme of things, I probably know very little of what Bruce Springsteen probably produced. But the stuff that I did know, I've always really liked them. It seems weird. Why have I never spent the time to maybe listen to more Bruce Springsteen? Don't know. There's nothing against it. Just I've never had opportunity or never really thought about it. But I said stuff I did hear and know, I did generally like. So yeah.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the movie in a minute, but going into a bit more detail, what you said there wasn't a single song you didn't like. Why did you like it? Why did you like the songs, basically? What was it, the style of music, the voice, what exactly?
Yeah, so obviously we'll go through each song sort of individually, but I think generally he does have a great voice. It's very
distinctive.
Very distinctive, very relaxing. I liked the album as well because obviously there was some variation to it, so it wasn't all just the same. It didn't feel too country. It didn't feel too poppy. It felt as that's again sort of mixed in between. It was, I think the only way I could really explain it was just easy to listen to. So I wasn't thinking too much into the lyrics. I wasn't thinking too much into it. You could just sit and listen to it. And I said I listened to it 3 times. So a couple times, once when I was driving, once I was actually sitting down making my notes, and when I just had it sort of generally playing when I was just doing some admin work bits. And I said, even though I wasn't probably listening to it, it just felt really listenable, really likable, and really relaxing.
Okay, well that's great to hear. As I said, I was looking forward to hearing your opinion on it, because I know a lot more about Bruce Springsteen than you do, I guess. Because as I said to you before, I was kind of brought up on Bruce Springsteen because of the influence from my dad. So before I talk about my view, I'm going to just let this drag on a little bit. The album itself, the movie itself, because I spoke with my parents about this. when we got this, when I knew we were going to listen to the album. And they both went to the cinema at the time to watch the movie. I think it was, my parents said it was only out for a very short time, like 2 weeks or something, maybe. I'm not sure. And it's not, from what they said, it's not a movie as in like he's acting. It's basically the album being played, and in between there, he's talking, he's being interviewed or something. That's all it is.
I can imagine that, because we had a look, and obviously the movie lasts 1 hour 23 minutes, whilst this album is 51 minutes. So I can imagine, if he played the whole album in that movie, there isn't much time else to do else with it, really. So I think it's probably more like a documentary, really, isn't it? It's just sort of, and that's why I was worried, because I thought maybe it's just where he's promoting a new album and wouldn't be as good as there. But yeah, now you've dragged this along. I'm quite intrigued on your side of things as well, then.
Okay. So yeah, for me, I was in a position where I already liked Bruce Springsteen. I had a lot of respect for the music he'd done. I'm very familiar with his older stuff. When he was obviously when he was much younger. Back in the, I guess, the late 70s, I think it was.
Early 80s.
Yeah, and you're never quite sure like what's going to happen when you listen to a brand new album from the modern day. You can have high expectations, and it's like I knew that when I expected when I listened to this album, I wasn't going to just suddenly start really liking everything, compared to some of the classics that he's done over the years that I like. So overall, I like the album. Did like it. Probably similar to what you said. There wasn't really any song that I didn't like. Some I like more than others. So yeah, I wasn't like blown away by it or anything like that. It was just, I just liked the fact I could listen to pretty much every song, and every song was nice, shall we say. Whereas probably all the previous albums we've listened to, at least in my opinion, there's been songs that I haven't really enjoyed at all. Kind of, don't know, just kind of happy when they were finished. Whereas with this, it was an overall good album. Good solid album, I'll say. But for me, in terms of the negatives, there weren't really many songs that really stood out, say that I really wanted to download. I have decided to download one song. Is it because I just kind of wanted one song to download? I don't know. I did quite like the song that I've chosen. I think for me it's probably the best. Yeah, probably the best out of the rest. But they're all good songs. Just not quite enough there for me to really say I really like them. But again, if I listen to the album again and again, they could grow on me. I listened once, and just before we started this Zoom call, I did go through them again, but I only had half an hour, so I had to sort of skip through some of the songs a little bit. So it was kind of what I was expecting. I didn't for 1 minute think I was going to suddenly like a load of these songs, especially on like first hearing of them as well. So if we go through the songs, each one, first one was called Hitchhiking. I put down slow song, quite good. Quite liked it. It was a good start, good solid start.
Again, so just a nice song. This is probably, after listening to them a couple of times, probably one of my least favourites on the album. But that shows how much I quite enjoyed the album, because, like I said, I'd still find this a good song. Quite liked it. If I had to be really critical, it probably went on a little bit too long of the same, which is going to be contradiction and probably something else I'm going to say a bit later. But for that particular song, it felt like it just went a little bit on too long. Don't need to, really. That'd be really critical.
Mm-hmm. Then we had The Wayfarer. I put down the instrumental bit was quite good, but I didn't like the song. This one was probably one of my least favourites. But again, it wasn't bad, but just because the standard was quite good. Yeah. That
sort of instrumental bit, I sort of know that you could close your eyes and really imagine cliche American Western open fields, riding on a horse kind of thing, and had that sort of nice vibe to it. Like at the start, it wasn't one of, but then when I listened to it like the second and third time, it actually grew me a little bit more actually, and actually started to quite like it a bit more than I did.
One thing you mentioned there about you can imagine, close your eyes, imagine yourself like with the American fields. I think that's one reason I've always liked Bruce Springsteen. His lyrics to songs are not your typical kind of lyrics, you know, like how people sing about love and stuff like that. His lyrics are very Americanized, very all about America. A lot of his songs focus on like American cities and things within America itself. And I like that. It's sort of, when I think of America, the USA, it's like Bruce Springsteen comes to the head, you know, he's like the epitome of like, I don't know, like the USA kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's really weird because obviously we're talking about like more of a country feel and all that. But obviously he's actually from like New Jersey, which is obviously quite city based. Yeah, it doesn't influence. It's not what he's really sort of associated with in that sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean. You kind of associate with what the kind of the West and the kind of you know, the more rural thing, going on.
Like the countryside type thing,
type thing, yeah. Then we had Tux and Train. I put best so far. Bear in mind that was only the third song. Still not amazing, but just a nice, good song for me.
Yeah, same sort of thing that I've said there, really.
Okay. Then Western Stars, which was the name of the album as well. Put down slow song, not bad, great voice. I've always liked his voice. You mentioned it at the beginning when you were talking about why you like the album, and yeah, I think he's got a really distinctive and a really just nice sounding voice. Really like it.
Yeah, really distinctive voice. This was actually probably one of my favourite songs on the album. As soon as I heard it that first time, I was like, it stood out for me. Again, it's hard because obviously it's only the fourth track in point. But just with that, and the whole sort of production with the orchestra, I don't know, just a really good vibe to the air. So it was definitely one of my favourites from there. But again, for me, the Bruce Springsteen songs that I generally have liked have been more of the sort of slower type songs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, then we had Sleepy Joe's Cafe. All I put down for this was very American. It just had a, you know, stop Sleepy Joe's Cafe. You could just imagine it somewhere in the middle of nowhere in the USA somewhere. But I did quite like that song, actually. I wasn't that far off from maybe downloading this one. I like the chorus of it. Sleepy Joe's Cafe. I like that bit. It was nice.
Yeah, at this point now, this is where the album at least had a little bit different feel to it. It sounded like a bit of a different song. But yeah, again, just real classic sort of American sounding album. Yeah, again, liked it. Again, it was probably on my lower end of songs I enjoyed. But again, by the time the second and third time I listened to it, I then was appreciating a lot of these songs a lot more as well.
Okay. Next song was Drive Fast, in brackets, The Stuntman. Didn't put much for this, just put not bad. It was all right.
Yeah, pretty much same with the album, just a good standard, nice song really. It's hard to not like it. For me at this point, it just wasn't as good as some of the other ones. That's all.
Chasing Wild Horses, I put down nice song, but repetitive. Chasing Wild Horse, you kept repeating that Chasing Wild Horses bit, but it was a nice kind of, I guess, instrumental as well in there. So quite a nice song, good song.
Yeah, the trouble I had, because it sort of reminded me of another song, which obviously has wild horses in it as well. So it felt like it's almost like trying to be like that, but it wasn't. Again, when I listened to it another time, it again did slowly grow on me there, but it wasn't. I could see why you may say it could be a little bit repetitive in that sense, but again, just another good listenable song, really.
Okay, then we had Sundown. I just put down not as good. This is probably one of my least favourite songs on the album. Again, it wasn't bad, but just not up to the standard as most of the others for me.
Yeah, again, I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself. A bit like you, I liked it. It wasn't up there as my favourites, but again, when I've listened to it a couple more times, I did start to enjoy and really appreciate that song as well.
Okay. Next one was interesting, Somewhere North of Nashville. So that I was listening to it, I was quite enjoying it. Then it suddenly just kind of finished a lot sooner than I expected. I had to check. I was like, oh, it's like 1 minute 50 odd seconds. This song. I don't know why it was so short. I put down good, but very short, great voice. And I was initially going to download this one, just kind of, I wanted one of the songs from the album. I thought, okay, this one's not bad. It's very short, but I liked it. On the second listen, I changed my mind. I still liked it, but I thought maybe it hasn't done quite enough for me to download it. And I ended up going for another song, which is, you'll find out in a minute what that was.
Yeah, like you want to know type, but yeah, it was short song. Again, really enjoyable. You know, I feel like I could have taken one of the ones that maybe went on a little bit too long, cut down a little bit, and just extended the Nashville song just that little bit more.
Okay. Stones, I just put okay, but nothing special.
Yeah, same there. Again, once I was listening to it a second and third time, I was taking to take a bit more notice with this particular song, the lyrics. And actually, I found the lyrics actually, which I know we talked about previously, where actually we don't really take too much notice on the lyrics. It's more about the song and the tune. But this was one I was spending a bit more attention to the lyrics, and it's actually the lyrics that made me enjoy that song a little bit more.
What was it about? Do you remember?
Oh, I didn't really put too much notes there. I can't really overly remember. But it's sort of like, from what I remember, like sort of sound with meanings type of lyric songs there. Maybe next time if I do some of the lyrics, I should make note what the lyrics generally are.
Okay. Now on to the penultimate song. There Goes My Miracle. I put down quite good chorus, and this was the song I decided to download. This is probably, I'm going to say, my favorite song on the album. It was one of the more upbeat songs. I really enjoyed, as I said, the chorus, the There Goes My Miracle bit. And yeah, overall, I thought this was a good, solid song. And like I say, I liked it enough to say I want to listen to this again and download it.
Yeah, and for me, this was my overall favourite song as well, actually, on the album. Again, a bit like with Western Stars early on, when this then came on, straight away, distinctive, seemed to enjoy it pretty much from the off. And yeah, nothing, just an overall really, really good, enjoyable song. And again, when I was listening to the album another time, again, it just grew on me a lot more. And it was, yeah, it's probably my favourite. I think it was slightly favourite over Western Stars, but both of them very, very highly rated for me.
The last song was Hello Sunshine. I just put down fairly decent. It didn't really blow me away or anything. Oh no, sorry, I'm missing a song. It wasn't.
Is there no? Yeah, I was just going to check
another
that.
one to come. Sorry, I didn't scroll down. So yeah, we've got another song to go as well. So Hello Sunshine, we just put, yeah, fairly decent.
For me, it felt a bit too much the same throughout, but again, really likable. Funny enough, when I was listening the first time, I was actually driving, and I found with this song, Lil Nas X, it's actually a really good driving song to listen to. It just felt, again, just enjoy listening to that whilst driving, really. Even though my scenery probably wasn't quite the same as what it was probably intended for, but
it'd be nice if you were to go to like the USA sometime in the future and be driving a car there, rent a car or something, and you listen to Bruce Springsteen. That'd be quite interesting, wouldn't it? Kind of how it would feel.
Really.
And then the last song, Moonlight Motel. It was just a nice slow song to end the album. I thought it's nothing out of the ordinary, but nice enough.
Yeah, I've talked about before about last songs on albums, and normally it doesn't really bother us, but actually it does seem to be something about when you have a good song to end an album, and this I think was quite pinnacle of that. Very slow, just had a nice feel to it. Again, it wasn't one of my favourites the first time, but again, when I was listening to it again, I started to like and enjoy it that little bit more, actually. So yeah, we actually grew quite a bit in my expectations, that one.
Okay, so that's the album done. Now there was, because there were, I don't know if you noticed on this or not, Brett, but you could buy these, I guess, the soundtrack or something from the movie itself. So it's exactly the same as what we listened to, but it's got an extra song on there, which is a cover song that Bruce Springsteen did, which I didn't listen to because it wasn't part of the album. So I don't suppose you listened to that, did you?
I didn't actually know. I strictly just kept to the album that we were listening to there.
So yeah, that's our review of the Bruce Springsteen. What's it called? Western Stars
Western
album,
Stars.
yeah, which I'm glad to say we both enjoyed. I mean, look, for me, I think it was as good as it could have been, really as good as I could have expected. As I said earlier, I do really like Bruce Springsteen, but like I say, I was not expecting this to be an album where I'm going to really love every song and blow my mind away or anything. But it was just good, solid Bruce Springsteen for me. So yeah, I enjoyed the album, and as I said, I'm going to take one song off the album for me to listen to when I go running or whatever else I do. Brett, is there anything you want to say before we finish?
No, I think in game we've summed that pretty much up quite there. As I said, for me, yeah, really good, enjoyable album, and I probably will listen to this again before we do a next review on the next artist, I think.
Okay, well, as I said earlier, yeah, really good. Happy that you've starting to appreciate Bruce Springsteen now. He's done so much stuff over the years, and yeah, who knows? That there's nothing stopping, as I said before, from like in the future when another random album comes up, it could be another Bruce Springsteen album. Even though you've listened to one of his albums, why not listen to another maybe, especially from one that was back in the late 70s or 80s or something. It's going to be quite different, I guess. But yeah, be interested to see what artists we get in the future. And if you watch our next album choice, which is going to be this Wednesday, you'll find out who we get to listen to next. So thank you for watching, and we will see you on Wednesday. Goodbye.